Here's my interview with McNeilly. He's a national championship winning coach. He tried to be humble at some points, but he's a really good coach. He's coached hundreds of kids over the years in Toronto. He is one of the best basketball minds I've been around. He's taught me so much about the game of basketball, and I absolutely have a huge amount of respect for him. I spoke to him for an hour, and everything he was just saying was just so valuable, and it hurt me to cut out some parts, but I had to cut out some parts to keep it short. I hope you guys like it. Share it. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any questions for Jay, you can follow him at Coach J Mac, and you can follow me at Jaleel Sobers. And you can expect more of these videos from different people mastering their professions throughout the year. Can I have you introduce yourself?
My name is Jay McNeilly, and I'm the coach for Seneca College.
And how long have you been a coach?
I've been a coach since 1996.
What was the first team you coached, and how was that?
I was an assistant coach for a club team, an OBA team in Markham. At the time, they were called the Markham Tar Heels, and it was a really good experience.
What was the hardest thing about coaching that first year?
Well, I was coaching my younger brother, and the toughest thing was to try to communicate to the guys what I would like them to do as an assistant, because you got to be respectful of the head coach, who was a really good coach at the time, Coach Don Marchioni, and just try to learn how to communicate to the players, because at my age I was playing university basketball, and I would try to play with them to show them. But when you get to the games and you're on the bench, you're just so passionate and you have so much energy that you need to try to learn to communicate that through words and suggestions to the head coach.
And how old was this team that you were coaching?
At the time, they were elementary school age. I would want to say they were grade 6 or 7. My brother is 8 years younger than I am, so it probably was the 6th or 7th grade.
How is that to see the growth of Canada basketball?
It's amazing. It still seems like I'm very young as a coach, and I'm not really the best coach or a good coach. I'm just learning as much as I can. But when I was playing, Jamal McGlure was 2 or 3 years younger than I am, and I played one summer with him for a tournament that was held in Niagara Falls or Buffalo. And I was just a huge Jamal McGlure fan, even as a player playing with him and being on that trip with him, just watching what he ate and the attention that he attracted in that tournament, and just seeing his growth personally from high school at Eastern Commerce to Kentucky to being drafted in the NBA, being at his draft party just as a supporter and as a fan. It's really good to see the growth of basketball.
Is there a negative impact on all the money that's coming into basketball in Canada? Or has it lost its purity at all? Or does it not matter?
No, I think there's going to be positive and negatives in everything that grows the way it's growing. But you can't individually, you can't govern that or stop it. It's gonna happen in so many different areas of life. There's always gonna be positive and negative, right and wrong. So I try not to focus too much on the negative and try to do positive, and hopefully just keep a good rapport with everybody that we're involved with.
And you said earlier that you're not a great coach, but What championship did you just win?
We just won the Ontario Championship. It's called the OCAA. And we just won the National Championship, which is called the CCAA, for Canadian colleges. So there's Canadian colleges that are traditionally 1, 2, 3, or 4-year programs. And that's different than Canadian University, which is traditionally 4-year programs. So if we were to compare our level to the American level, some would compare it to a junior college system. But now, like I said, we're offering 3- and 4-year diplomas and degrees. So it may move to more like a Division I, Division II, depending on how many 4-year programs these colleges offer. But I still don't consider myself to be a good coach. I think we had really good players, and I think we were just able to put them in a situation to succeed. But I'm trying to get better as we go along, and hopefully I can get better.
Who's a coach that you look up to?
I try not to answer this as much as possible because there's so many coaches that influence me. From my days here with Triple Balance to Canada Elite to Scarborough Blues to all my high school coaches, college coaches, university coaches. Recently, I've been picking my brother's brain a lot.
And your brother's a coach at Virginia, the assistant coach at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he's an assistant coach at Virginia Tech. That's a Division I school in Blacksburg, Virginia. I've been really picking his brain lately, but I really try not to name 1 or 2 coaches specifically because I learned so much from so many different coaches, and I don't want to disrespect or leave anybody out. But right now, I would say my brother's probably one of the most influential guys currently for my coaching style.
And you said that you got into coaching so you can coach your brother, and now he's a assistant coach at Virginia Tech. How proud of your brother are you?
Yeah, it brings tears to my eyes. I really am so happy and thrilled that, you know, he is where he is. He probably doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, but he is such a phenomenal coach. And I was just happy to be a little part of that process to where he is now. But yeah, I'm so grateful and happy for him. And I think if that was my calling in life to kind of help him get to where he was, I lived a good life.
And you once told a story about how you pushed your brother so hard that you guys just didn't speak for a very long time. Do you think it was worth it in the end, seeing where he is and seeing where you are and how close you guys are now?
Yeah, it was worth it. I wouldn't do it again that way because it was very risky. What I learned and what I try to do my best is to not give an end goal or an end result to the players and the coaches that I talk to.
What's something that coaches overlook when teaching players the game of basketball?
Everybody's different. Different learning styles, different delivery styles. You got to be very flexible in the way you deliver things and the way that they listen. What I got from another coach was, it's not what you know, it's what you can get your players to know. And that just takes a lot of time and communicating with your team and your players. And I would say that's probably one of the toughest things to do, is to find out what they do, how they do it, what they receive, what they don't receive, positive and negative, and make that adjustment individually to make the team better.
Should you ever not compromise your morals but change how you communicate with certain players like instantly, or should you try to communicate with everybody the same and then find out who reacts to things differently?
That's another very, very good question. Like, for example, when you're coaching club or AAU, you don't have that time. That time might be the bus ride from the airport to the hotel, or from the hotel to the game, or from the game to the restaurant. And you have to really try to make the most of that hour or two. But when you're with a program that plays a regular season over a school year or over a season, 6 to 8 months, I think you got to be patient in certain situations. I'm learning that more now as I'm getting older, and not everybody is going to be able to handle your delivery right away. So I think it's sensitive to what level you're coaching and the amount of time you have. And you got to decide what it is that you're trying to accomplish.
Your son is a very good basketball player who's at Huntington Prep now. And how do you differentiate the critics from the haters?
Sometimes you can't, because sometimes the critics are the haters, and sometimes the haters are your friends, and you just don't know. What we try to do with Cassius is surround him around as many good people as possible, and let him start understanding and figuring out who to listen to and who not to listen to, but in a respectful way, and he's getting really good at it right now of listening to the right voices and making the right choices, but he still has to get a little bit better on not tuning out the guys he knows that are phony and making it public, or let the public know that, well, I don't really believe or trust that guy. But there's so many people pulling at these young guys because there's so many opportunities now that it's hard to, as a young, like he just turned 17 today, and as a 17-year-old, it's hard to understand that, but he has to, because he's at the age now where he can start making those life lessons.
How afraid are you that him being so far away that he can be taken advantage of?
I wouldn't say I'm scared, but I would say I'm more trusting and believing that things will happen in the right way. And even though he's that far away, one real advantage we have nowadays is social media and technology. So he's only a click away from us seeing him and talking to him FaceTime. And we do that often with him. My wife does a really good job communicating with him. And our inner circle does a really good job checking in with him. Whether that's friends, family, coaches, peers. But it's tough, especially where he's coming from a major city, moving to a smaller city. It's a little bit challenging for him as a person. But again, it's all positive lessons in life, and we're fortunate that he has these opportunities.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Seneca College. I'm really happy where I am. I have an opportunity to spend a lot of time with my kids in the daytime. Seneca's close to my house, relatively drive. We're growing something there that I think can grow into something a lot bigger than what we started. And I would really be happy, and it'll bring so much joy to me if we can build our level to have a little bit more credibility and support in the community. And although I may not get the financial rewards or different publicity that some of the other levels get, I think everyone has their purpose and everyone has their reason. And our level is a pretty tough level. And I think if we can grow our level a little bit bigger, I'd be really happy to do that.
Who's the best player you ever coached against or played? against?
Wow. There's so many. I would answer it this way. If I had to say one right now, coaching against, we were at the Jarvis tournament. I think it was maybe 99, 2000. It was one of the last years Bathurst Heights was a school, and we coached against Denham Brown. And he was one of the toughest guys to coach against. We tried someone small on him. We tried someone big on him. We tried zone. We tried so many things, and he was just such a dominant force. He was really
after
tough.
our first location, we had to drive around for a very long time. We had to find a second location. We tried going to a Tim Hortons, which is in Toronto. If you're from Canada, then you know what a Tim Hortons is, obviously. But if you're from the UK, you probably don't know what that is. But we had to drive around looking for a Tim Hortons, and we didn't find one because it was late at night. So we ended up going to McDonald's. The audio in this one isn't the best because they were having a meeting in the McDonald's when we were filming. So if you can get by the audio, then thank you so much for getting by the audio. Halfway through the interview though, the camera I was using died because we were interviewing for so long. And then I went on to using the handheld camera, but it worked out, I think, in the end for the best because I got to ask him a lot of the questions I've always wanted to ask him, and I got to pick his brain, and I got to share his knowledge with you guys. Thank you.
And who's the best coach you ever coached? If there is one.
There are a few, and they probably didn't beat us, but they sure put their team in a really good position to compete. But not one person comes to mind. There's so many that probably outcoached us, but we just had better talent. So I can't really say one guy. There's a lot that are really good coaches.
Is there something that you would tell yourself before every game? Like a coaching point to remember just for your own personal sanity?
Because I get so attached and emotionally involved with the game, I now make notes, and I have 3 papers. I have one paper that is all about us, what the rotations are, what the lineups are, similar to hockey, where you may have a power play lineup, you may have a penalty killing lineup. So I have that type of picture or paper. I also have a paper with all of our plays, offensively and defensively, and little points about what play can generate what. And then the last page out of the 3 is the scout page for the other team. And this is something I just started this year at Seneca. It was different when I was a younger coach. And the scout is a mix of what the coaches have put together versus and added to what I think about the other team. And I usually go to that between quarters or timeouts or halftime because you're so emotional during the game that sometimes you overlook things.
What's one thing that you wish you knew when you first started coaching that you know now?
The balance of patience and hunger. It's a very thin line. You have to be patient at times, but you have to be aggressive and hungry at other times. That's both in practice and both in the games. So I think I'm getting a better handle of that now versus when I was a younger coach.
And are you surprised to see how much you've grown as a coach from your younger days?
I'm surprised about the time, like how time flies. I still don't think I am where I need to be as a coach. I have a lot of improvement to do. But I would say I'm grateful for the experiences and some of the successes that we've had, not only winning games, but a lot of the players that have moved on now to be good citizens, start families, and be good people.
What are some rules you have as a coach, or you had before?
We try to be on time. I think that's the foundation. Being on time for everything. That's a real big one. I'm trying to end on time, and I'm trying to end early, because sometimes we want to cram so much into practice but time is important. I think being on time, spending the right amount of time, ending on time is very important. So I would say time. I think time is the most important part of the team, you as a person, you generally in life. Time is very important.
Have you become a stricter coach as you've gotten older, or a more laid-back coach?
I started out very interactive with the teams. At a younger age, I could play with the team, and I would try to do the drills and scrimmage. And then I moved to militant, where if your shirts weren't tucked in, we're running, and if you're late for study hall, we're running, and just a really militant type of setting. Now I think I'm tougher in different areas, and I'm focusing less on other areas. Like, very rarely am I involved in any of the drills physically. I just don't think it's fair to our athletes, because I can't keep up with them, nor can I do it the way it should be done. And I'm trying to be non-militant, but more liberal, and have the players hold them accountable.
Something I told your son Cassius, one of the last times I saw him, is try not to be a basketball player. Try to be more than don't identify yourself as just what you do, but try to be something outside of what you do. So, who are you?
It's a very good question. I'm trying to find myself still. I would want to say I'm a son. Both my parents are still around, and I spend time with them. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I'm a coach. But I'm still trying to get better in all of those areas. And I'm trying to do that as best as I can, because I'm very cautious of time and our time here, and just trying to make it the best possible in those areas.
How do you balance being at the gym so much and coaching basketball? So many different levels. From today you're coaching 9-year-olds or 7-year-olds? 8-year-olds?
I think it's 8-year-olds.
8 and 9-year-olds, to them coaching older teenagers, and then shutting that off, and then being a husband.
I don't do a good enough job at that. I got to do a better job at it. I'm very fortunate to have a wife that understands and allows me to do it. But it's hard. I know of a lot of relationships that don't go well because of the time and the emotional stress, the mental stress of coaching, and you just keeping attached to it. It may be a pro or con when coaches take it home, but I'm trying to do a better job at that. Like I said, I got to get a lot better at it. So it's a very tough balance, and hopefully I can get a lot better at it so that my family is not affected or the team is not affected by that. But it's a very, very tough balance.
How long do you usually struggle with that balance? Like something that happens at home, do you take it into the gym, or something that happens in a game? Like, when do you get over it?
Again, personally, like me individually, I'm really inverted. I hold a lot of things in, and I got to do a better job at that, finding a way to ease that stress and that tension. My wife does get bothered with me because I don't share some of it with her, and she's such a smart person that I should be sharing it a lot with her because she'll really be able to help me. But sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it could be as much as a month that it stays with you. And I guess it's depending on how much you really are attached to it. Like some coaches, they do a better job releasing right away and moving on. So again, I'm just trying to get better at that, and I guess it depends on the situation. You know, this year we've been fortunate to be successful in a lot of different areas, so it's been a little bit easier. I'm not just saying that because we win, but we often get a lot of compliments about our team that we do it the right way. They respect how we do things, and that really helps because I'm very mindful of that, and I want us to have a good image, and I want the college and the program to really have that image. So that helps. But when things don't go well, and it usually stays with me longer than it should, because I just want things to go well so much.
And one final question. Well, first, where can people contact you if they wanted to contact you if you're bringing about basketball stuff or life stuff?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Facebook, I think it's just Jay McNeilly, JAYMCNEILLY. Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, I want to say it's Coach_JMac. But if you search Jay McNeilly on Instagram and Twitter, it should say Coach JMac with an underscore somewhere. And I apologize, I should know, but I don't. And my email address is j411@gmail.com. And I try to respond to all my messages as best as I can.
And how do you want to be remembered?
I'm still trying to figure that out. But I want people to be able to look back at the players that we've coached and say that those players ended up being really good people. Naturally, I'm very competitive, and I grew up in a very successful sporting family. My father won so much awards when I was a little boy that winning does mean a lot to us, and that's kind of what we learned through him. So I would say winning is important, but winning the right way and losing the right way. And I would say those three things. I would say 5, 10, 15 years from now, the guys that we've been a part of coaching are good guys. We win the right way and we lose the right way.
Is losing more important? Is being a good loser better than being a good winner? Like how you handle both those things?
I think they're both important, because I think in life you're going to have to face both of them at some point. And I made a joke with my coaches, and I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen if we lose in the playoffs, in the provincials, or in the nationals, because we haven't lost the whole year basically once the season started. And I was a little bit, as weird as it sounds, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't lose, because we didn't teach them that lesson. But very grateful that we did win. But we did put them in situations, the players, that they learned how to handle adversity in practice a lot. So, but it's different. Practice in the game is obviously different. So we're grateful that we made the stretch that we made and the run that we made. But I think both are important. Winning properly, losing properly. I think they both have their values.
And how has your life changed after winning the national championship?
I'm a lot more grateful, I think, because going through it, there was so many coaches that I thought were deserving of winning the championship. And then speaking specifically to the East Division of the OCAA, and speaking to the other coaches, what I tell them is I'm looking forward to cheering you guys on when you guys make it to that stage, because we're building, or we were able to lift the East Division of the OC2A this year, and because I'm part of it, I would like our division to do well. But I'm very grateful, and I appreciate the experience and the opportunity, and I won't take that for granted. And I told our players that after we did the run and we won the East Division, and then we won the provincial championship, and then we won the national championship, I said, listen, each time we won that, I told our guys, be grateful, because this may never happen again in your life. And there's a lot of people that you know, whether that's your family, your friends, or your teammates, that won't be able to say they have this opportunity.